Hey, my name is Joe,
And I'm Mary Beth.
and this is the best of Gen X.
We are in our 40s.
And we're siblings,
We'll talk about adulting in a world so different from the one we grew up in,
so excuse us while we save a generation.
one episode at a time.
Let's go.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm excited to see you today.
I'm
I feel like it's
excited.
been forever,
Hey, I know. Although it hasn't.
although it hasn't. We're right on schedule. What's
And-
up with you?
Well, I'm sweating my fluffy little ass off.
Feels like we're in the Caribbean, but no, we are in the house at 78 degrees.
I'm having a little AC trouble, and windows are open. So, hey, if you hear lawnmowers, birds,
And if you hear the sweat hitting the table, don't be alarmed.
that is why.
Can I tell you why I said Caribbean?
Yeah.
Because it's on my brain. Have you ever seen The Caribbean Life?
No.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's The Caribbean Life, but it's Caribbean Life.
No.
It's like a House Hunters, but it's Caribbean Life version.
Oh, excellent.
I stumbled upon it on HBO Max because I had started watching House Hunters again. And I was like, I want to watch Caribbean Life. Can't get off of it. I'm like obsessed with it right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm addicted. So people are going to like Grand Cayman. Like it's always like people from Toronto or
Right.
Detroit or, the real cold areas of the country.
And I'm a stay-at-home mom, and he is a pencil manufacturer.
Yeah. What's your budget?
$5 million.
Oh, just 3 to 5 million.
Yeah.
They always give like on Caribbean Life, they give a range.
I never understood that.
Yeah, but it's a pretty cool show. It's the same kind of concept. They show them a few houses and then they eliminate one, but it's inspiring watching these people. Like it's like your whole life is a vacation now.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're paddle boarding on Tuesday. And,
Right.
but no, they've shown some pretty cool places. Like a lot of the episodes are from U.S. Virgin Islands, and then there's Grand Cayman and Puerto Rico. So it's pretty neat.
Nice.
I've been hooked on it.
Speaking of HBO Max, I revisited a show this past week myself that I haven't watched probably in 2 years, 3 years. Like, I've seen it on TV, and it comes on E in the mornings, early in the mornings, and maybe it'll show like 4 or 5 episodes. And it's one of those things where I was watching it while I was working, and I thought, okay, you can't suck me back into this and not let me see the rest. So I went back to watch Sex and the City.
See, I was going to try to guess, but I wouldn't have guessed that.
Dude,
Mr. Big.
I used to have the DVD box set. So this was before streaming. So you can imagine that since like mid 2000s, I've been watching this show many times. And for some reason, it hit different this past week. I don't know if it's my age, but I have a controversial opinion.
I don't have a opinion because I've never really seen it.
Not at all? Oh my God, this is not going to be worth your time at all.
Well, I still want to hear it because I like the way you describe things. I like the way you tell the stories.
Here is my controversial opinion about Sex and the City, most beloved show. Carrie is the bad guy, not Big.
So, but I have like walking around knowledge of it. So that's Sarah Jessica Parker's character.
Yes, sir.
I do know that.
And Mr. Big is supposed to be the bad guy.
But didn't they not like show him until like the end or something?
Oh no, he was in it.
Oh, he was in it the whole
He
time?
was in it
Okay.
from episode 1.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What was I
But
thinking?
there was just a lot of back forth, a lot of breakup, makeup.
Oh, okay. I
He
gotcha.
was, quote, emotionally unavailable. What I discovered this time around, nope, she's a narcissist, and he is mature and doesn't want to put up with her bullshit. That's what I recognized this time.
Yeah, you're right. That does nothing for me because I've not seen it. But
Still love it though. I noticed so many, even aside from Big, I noticed so many unlikable things about Carrie. She's not a good friend. I'm sorry, just because you call all your friends sweetie doesn't make you a good
is
friend.
that her thing in the show? That's what
Well,
she-
no, I mean just saying like her character does, you know.
I gotcha,
Hey,
I gotcha.
sweetie, and it's like, I'm sorry, you're still a judgy bitch.
Well, that's what I mean. Does her character do that in the show? Like,
Yeah, but it's not like her thing.
oh, it's
you
not
know?
her thing. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Anyway,
Well-
it's not a feature of her character. It's just
You are next level at getting me to watch really good shows.
It's a
That
good
is
show.
one show you will not get me to watch.
It is a good show.
But that's one show you will not get me to watch.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm positive.
Well, I'm sorry I said that because it's a really good show.
I mean, you got me on The Office. You got me on Big Bang. You got me on Game of Thrones. You got me on How I Met Your Mother. All of these things I'm very happy and grateful. But Sex and the City, you will not get me on that one.
It's good though. Okay. Although I haven't watched and will not watch the newest reboot of
You
it.
even got me on Twilight, if I remember correctly.
I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of anniversaries this week. First of all, it is the anniversary of Prince's death. It was April 21st, 2016.
Man,
I remember where I was.
8 years.
Man.
Does it seem like that long to you? I don't think it seems like that. It was that
It's
long
gone
ago.
by fast, but at the same time, I've been in mourning, and then I'm still in mourning.
Minnesota's own.
I can't.
He was, in my opinion, he was probably one of the top 3 or 4 entertainers, artists, musicians of all time. Easily, in my opinion.
Easily of our generation, possibly of all time. Rumor has it, even the greatest guitarists call him the greatest guitarist of all time.
Unreal.
I know. So that's sad.
Yeah,
sad.
he was fentanyl, wasn't he? Wasn't he a fentanyl accidental overdose?
I don't know that it was that.
I think it was.
It could have been. It was. I don't know if it was fentanyl or propofol. I know propofol was Michael Jackson, but I
think it was fentanyl.
I remember it being one of those. Yeah.
Right,
So
well, we can put some scratch on it if you want.
man.
Put a little side bet on it.
No, too depressing.
My
Makes me
bad. I
sad.
didn't know that was going to affect you that much.
He's one of my favorites
He's
of all time.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, you got listen, I know we'll move on, but you got him, you got Michael Jackson, you got kind of the Stevie Wonder types. You just got to put Prince in that category.
You have to put Prince above all categories because
Crazy.
he's one of the GOATs. And another anniversary this past week, Mom and Dad.
Hey, Mom and Dad.
Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Oh, my gosh.
Love you. Love you, Dad. Love you, Mom.
I love you, Dad. 49?
49.
Yep. Unreal.
I know.
I'm not even 49.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that they're almost to 50. You know what that means?
What?
It means next year we are in charge of throwing a party.
Damn it, it better be a good one.
Dang it.
Or Terry will let us know.
No, Terry has already told me. She told me this a couple of years ago what she wants for her 50th.
Can I guess what she told you?
Yes.
She wants us to all go on a vacation and all rent a big house.
Yes.
Like in Florida or somewhere.
That's what she wants. But if I remember correctly, it could be my imagination. I thought she wanted something a little different than Florida. But maybe I'm wrong. I vote we go see some whale watching. The big trees, Pacific Northwest.
Oh, yeah, I'd be down with that.
I bet Mom and Dad wouldn't.
I'd be down with that.
But if we're gonna bankroll this trip, it better be all about us. I'm just kidding.
That's great, Mom and Dad. You did good. That's great. That's cool.
But we have a year to think about it.
Yeah, that's cool though, because I remember when we made that video of their 25th, right? It was like April of 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And we put music to it and stuff.
We did.
Wasn't that the one where we had like the kid pictures of us, and then we had
Yes.
we all had our own song?
Yes.
Like I had ZZ Top, and you had.
I had Stevie
Stevie
Nicks,
Nicks.
of course.
Gosh, I would love to see that again.
I know. It's missing.
Oh God.
The video.
Well.
And if anybody has a VCR, we'd have to go to Goodwill to get a VCR. Go watch it. But speaking of anniversaries,
We should do a podcast about that.
dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called Mawwiage. Electric word, marriage, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time, but I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The aftermath. A world of chronic unhappiness, where things are always going wrong, day or night. So we're going to look to those freaks in Beverly Hills, you know the ones where everything's never going to be all right. Let's talk about the best and worst of love, marriage, and the happily hardly ever after Hollywood style.
Oh no, let's go crazy.
Crazy. That was my tribute.
That's great.
Hey, that was for you, Prince.
Man.
R.I.P.
That's really, I didn't realize you were struggling so much with it.
I wanted to devote something of this podcast to Prince. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about marriage. Let's talk about marriage Hollywood style. I looked up some fun facts.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that they're fun. Actually, I'm going to call them anti-fun because I think they're kind of depressing. Estimated 2.5 million weddings in the U.S. each year. That's not depressing. That 2.5 million people get married each year. That's not. Or 2.5 million weddings. Mm-hmm. I guess that doesn't include those who go to the justice of the peace and whatnot. Can you guess how much the wedding industry is in this country?
Oh,
It's redonkulous.
how about, is it in the billions?
It is in the billions.
10 billion.
$70.5 billion.
That's a lot of zeros.
That's a lot of cheese.
I'd like to have that many zeros.
But think about it. I mean, you have all the vendors. You have videographers, photographers. You have caterers. You have bakers. You have the wedding coordinators. You have the dress. You have... It's just nonsense.
No, it's crazy.
Nonsense. I started to look up the most expensive weddings of all time, but then I just got depressed. Like, people spending millions, tens of millions. Like, but they're always like oil tycoon.
I was going to say, it's like
billionaire.
If they're not celebrities, they're like somebody out in like Abu Dhabi or something like that. Yeah, the princess of...
You're right. Stuff like that. The average cost of a wedding and reception in the U.S., it is a staggering $30,000.
That's okay. So of the wedding, that's wedding and reception.
Wedding and reception, $30,000 is the average cost. Can I just say, why?
Why?
That is crazy.
Gosh, I hope Navy gets married at the Justice of the Peace.
I know, right?
Because aren't the dads supposed to? Isn't that the deal?
The parents of the bride pay. The groom's parents pay for the rehearsal dinner.
Okay.
Traditionally.
Well, sorry,
but
Navy.
people are getting married later and later. I say if you've been living together, you're in your late 20s, you've been living together for years, pay for your own damn wedding. But mom and dad will help out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Throw us a freaking bone here.
$30,000.
That's crazy.
And reality TV, when it comes to the holy union, they haven't really done matrimony any favors.
Oh, from like the Bachelor and Bachelorette shows and stuff?
I would put that one at the top of the list. The Bachelor. I mean, marriage has become like a sporting event. It's a sideshow. It's a spectacle. Like there's a competition to get proposed to. How ridiculous is that?
Well, I have heard, which you stay pretty plugged in, so you might have heard this already, but I have heard before from one of the contestants that got interviewed on a podcast. He basically said that it's not like completely scripted.
Sure.
But he said if you are kind of like stuck in this sort of bubble with, I'm just making this up, 10 or 12 women, because I guess you got to cut so many or whatever. If you're kind of stuck in this bubble for 2 or 3 months with no access to your phone or internet or whatever, you do get feelings, and it's hard to like see reality. I don't remember exactly how he put it, but it was something to that effect. Like your it's not vision, but your judgment gets clouded a little bit because you're just in this one bubble for 2 or 3 months with these same people.
Sure.
So you think, and this was him in the podcast saying, you pretty much have convinced yourself that you are in love with this person because that's all you've known for 24 hours a day for whatever.
For a few weeks.
Yeah, and you're but you get what I'm saying. Like you're cut off from the outside world, and that's kind of just what you feel like you've convinced yourself that you're in love with this person.
Yeah.
So you go through the final process, and you propose to this person, and it makes for good TV. But then he said that's probably why the majority of those couples don't ever end up together, because once you get back out to the real world, you're like, oh, maybe I didn't so much feel that way,
Yeah, and maybe they don't end up together also because that's not how you do it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think a lot of them are trying to use it as an opportunity to...
Oh, it's a stepping stone for sure.
Exposure and stuff.
For sure. I tried to think of all the TV shows centered around marriage, proposals, things like that. And there's Say Yes to the Dress, which is kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I sort of love it.
And that's the one where they shop for the dress and they...
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay.
But they go to this really fancy place. I think there's one in Atlanta. There's one in New York. I haven't kept up with them, and I don't watch it regularly. But back in the day, Mom and I like to watch it together, and so it was always like the budget for the dress was always outlandish.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
But it was fun. I enjoyed watching people try on dresses and things like that. So I kind of dug that. But there's Say Yes to the Dress. There's like 90 Day Fiance, Married at First Sight, of course, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? That was one. And I'm sure there's more, but...
And isn't like the 90 Day Fiance and all that stuff, that's like a lot of those are people that don't have a green card or don't have a visa or something, and they're coming from different countries and stuff.
I'm not positive, but I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Because I can't watch these things. First of all, reality TV for me has always been very cringe. So I've never watched The Bachelor. I've never kept up with any of those shows. It's too gross. I don't like reality shows where they go on dates. I don't want to see you in a hot tub making out with someone you barely know. It's so gross. Like, take the cringiest moments in real life and then put it on TV for entertainment. Why would I do that to myself? No.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, reality TV got
Out of control.
Out of control.
Out of control. That's kind of my point. I mean, reality TV, when you go after the, holy matrimony, you need to stop.
Yeah.
Time to stop.
Yeah, reality TV got like a Maverick, like when he got caught in the jet stream. It just spun out of control. Yeah.
I agree. Well, let's talk about some of the memorable matrimony moments of our childhood, whether it was in real life, TV, movies. I know that Charles and Diana was a big deal. It was massive. And I should have looked up the numbers, but it was like the most viewed event on TV at that time in history. I was too young to remember it on TV, I think.
Yeah, I was one. So Mary Beth, let me tell you about it. No, I'm joking. I was one.
I was very much into Princess Diana when I got older. So I obviously have seen it. I've seen documentaries about it and yada, yada. But that was obviously the pinnacle of wedding ceremony in our culture, in our childhood. For the Gen Xer. Every Gen Xer probably would point to that as one of the most incredible, wedding moments.
Yeah, I've seen two numbers on that. I've seen 750 million viewers, and I've seen 1 billion.
Wow.
Which I don't know, 1 billion sounds like a lot back then.
It does, but it was a big deal.
Right.
It was a big deal. Did you watch William and Kate get married?
No, I just wasn't into it.
I didn't either, but I did look at some of the highlights and
yeah,
wanted
I did
to see
too.
the
Like
dress.
on TV, I would see like little snippets of it.
And I like them. I don't follow their lives or anything, but
well, there's a lot of controversy around that right now. I mean, I know that's not what we're here to talk about.
There is a lot of controversy. I think
like, is she dead? Does she have?
Well, she had some kind of abdominal surgery in, I think, January, but people were driving them crazy and giving all kinds of hot takes in the press for months because they hadn't seen her since her surgery.
Yeah.
And
Where is she?
Where is she? Is she dead?
Is that picture really her? Or is that
there
a
a
stunt
double?
Yeah.
And they finally had to come out and say, well, we weren't ready to do this because we wanted to tell our kids, but yeah, I got cancer. I mean, it was so...
Oh, is it like, it's not like late stages and stuff, is it? Or is it treatable?
I just saw a highlight of the announcement, so I don't know. I didn't look into it. I just thought that was so sad. And despite all these years that have gone by, they're still hounding the royal family the poor William lost his mother to these people.
Right. Yeah.
And now his wife is going through this and they can't do things on their timetable because the press is just relentless. So I don't know. The vibe I got was that the prognosis was fairly positive, but that was several weeks ago and I haven't followed up. Like I said, I don't follow them, but it is kind of cool to see William grow up the way that we've been able to see them. Harry, I'm sorry, Harry, you have been bamboozled by a narcissist. Sorry about it. Sorry, babe.
Oh, that's Meghan Markle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
She was good in Suits, though. Did you ever watch Suits?
I think about it all the time.
You need to watch Suits.
I need to get on it. I
mean,
know.
to be fair, I've watched 4 or 5 shows that you've begged me to watch.
You're
need to
right.
watch.
Ooh. Can we just take a moment?
You can't just watch one that I...
Okay, let's have a moment of silence for that zinger. That was a good one, Joe. You are right.
Hey, thanks.
You are right.
Wow.
You're right. I'll get on it.
I feel so good right now.
I will
No,
get on it.
it is good. It's an investment, though. It's 9 or 10 seasons, so it's an investment.
Yeah, but if you work from home, I can just plow right through that.
Well, but I think you would like it, too, because...
Oh, I know I like it.
There's like the legal part of it.
Yeah.
And there's the one... They're both super smart, the 2 main guys.
I love a smart show.
And it's quick.
I love a quick show.
It's that quick legal...
Dude.
And your favorite character would be...
Lewis?
Lewis.
You told me that before.
Yes. I'm betting that'll be your favorite character.
Yeah. Well, remember during our Facebook episode when I talked about Aaron Sorkin and how much I love his dialogue and it's so quick and smart.
Yeah,
you
like it.
You gotta hang in there, and I just love that.
Yeah, you'd like it.
Well, I'll get on it. Pardon me. I do apologize.
Sweet.
Well, okay. I remember watching Peggy Sue Got Married because we've talked about our Aunt Sharon's video collection. That was one of those movies that I was probably too young to watch, but we watched. And I really love that one. Nicolas Cage, Jim Carrey. I think it was his first movie role. I love Kathleen Turner.
He was in that?
He was one of the friends. Remember the guy that takes his arm over with the bird? He's holding the thing.
I haven't seen it since I was real little.
Yeah. He's one of the posse, Nicolas Cage's posse of friends.
Because Nicolas Cage was young in that.
He was.
And Jim Carrey, I thought his first movie was Once Bitten. Well, I guess it could have been. I just don't remember
it may have, I don't know which one came first.
Yeah, because I think Once Bitten was like 82.
Once Bitten.
83.
Ooh.
We used to watch that at Sharon's.
Classic.
I loved the ice cream truck.
Hey, you know what? That is a movie I could watch as an adult still over and over.
I loved the ice cream truck. I was so infatuated with
know.
that. It was like a cone.
I know.
It was shaped like a cone.
I had the coolest thing ever. I wanted an ice cream truck. Yeah, Peggy Sue Got Married was a great one. And then Father of the Bride later on. Father of the Bride. Frank.
Martin Short.
Honk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is so fantastic.
And the one dude, the kid that marries his daughter, is the Sasquatch and Friends. Not Sasquatch, but
yeah.
He always looks at Monica and Rachel and goes, "Okay."
Dan.
Yeah, every time they say something, he goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
I looked this up, Father of Bride, because I was thinking about that movie too.
Which is a remake. Did you know that?
I did, but you know how I like to play that game of, okay,
How old were they?
How old were they? Because when you're a kid, they just seem way old.
You're gonna hurt me.
How old? Guess. You won't believe it. How old was Steve Martin in Father of the Bride, the first one?
The first one.
Mm-hmm. Dude has looked the same since the 80s.
I know. He's aged very well.
But I mean, he always had the white hair.
He always had
in the
white
80s.
hair.
It's going to blow your mind.
40?
45
In the first one?
in the first one.
Wow.
But so I'm thinking, like that's us. That's our age.
We are George Bonks.
Right. Bonks. I just caught that.
Yeah.
George Bonks. Yeah, he was 45. When they filmed it, because it released in 91, he was born in 45.
Wow.
45. He was 45.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Do you know how old Diane Keaton was?
I didn't look, but I was just more...
I love Diane Keaton, but man, she's always looked old.
Yeah, I was more thinking about him because I thought to myself, dude has looked the exact same. The hair color, everything has looked the exact same for 30, 40 years.
Wow, 45. Okay, well, now we are his age. Excellent. Yep. Oh, not we. Sorry, me.
I'm almost there.
Right, okay. And then as far as movies go, there's an incredible... Well, the whole concept of this movie is sort of built around the main character finding his bride.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. She's your queen to be.
Okay, Coming to America. I remember like that, the wedding in that movie, the first one, it wasn't like a wedding, but it was like the announcement of his betrothed.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the whole tribal dance sequence was choreographed by
Paula
Abdul.
Do you love me?
What's really cool is that once you know that and then you go back and watch the dance sequence, you see her all over that. Like that is Paula Abdul all the way.
Oh yeah.
But just the whole him breaking free of tradition and going to America to find the true love of his life. And where does a king find... where do you go to find a man fit for a king? Queens. Hilarious movie. We talked about it in our Let's Go to the Movies episode. But as far as, I love the way they end it with the wedding and he's all depressed.
Yeah.
And he lifts the veil and it's her.
She's smiling.
I get goosebumps, man.
Lisa.
Man. He don't even, that makes me think of weird science. He don't even have his life in Lisa.
No, great movie. I think that was one of the best. I mean, that's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like timeless to me. It never gets old.
Yeah.
You know. To quench your royal fire.
It's just so brilliant. I remember an anniversary episode of a very special show. This one left such an impression on me and you and Jen. Like, everybody watched Cosby. It was must-see TV. And I just cannot forget, will never forget, the first time we saw the anniversary episode where the family surprises Heathcliff's parents for their 49th, which is weird.
It was their 49th.
Which they look very old. Because I just saw this. I saw this by chance, totally by accident, channel surfing the other day. And the episode was on. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I watched it. And so they surprise their grandparents with a little lip syncing, dance little number.
Yeah, it was Ray Charles. Nighttime.
You know that nighttime.
And like it's Theo, right?
So good. Yeah,
Theo comes down with the fedora. And...
Yeah, and I just remember the hips. The ladies were swaying the hips.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry, Claire Huxtable is a smoke show. She's a smoke show to me. Always has been. And then the part we all know
with Rudy.
Baby!
And she started doing like the little, she's holding her chest and stuff.
Nobody on planet Earth was as cute as Rudy Huxtable growing up. And this episode,
all the time.
Oh my gosh. I just have chills.
And we don't have to go into the Cosby thing, but he gets up there and does the baby.
No, he does the wow. Oh my gosh. That anniversary episode was so special. And back then you had to wait. Like, there were no reruns. It was like you never were going to see it again and you wish you could. I just remember that moment. I remember seeing it for the first time, and I can't ever forget
etched in
that.
Your brain forever.
Etched forever.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Another wedding moment. Let's see if you remember this one. This is my favorite wedding that never happened.
Okay. I am intrigued. Color me intrigued.
Little Miss Southern Belle Whitley Gilbert was getting married.
Dwayne Wayne.
And they were saying their vows, or about to say their vows, and Dwayne Wayne comes from the back of the congregation.
And people are trying to stop him.
And they're trying to pull him away. And he's wrestling through the crowd, and he's saying his own vows.
Yeah. Baby, please.
Baby, please.
Oh, and
I do.
And then she runs off
with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's
a different world.
I'll never forget it. That was it. I loved that show. Everybody wanted Whitley and Dwayne Wayne to be together. They were the least likely pair.
Yeah, like towards the beginning, they were
exactly.
You would have never thought.
You would have never. And then by the end of the series, you've got this romance between them. And then will they? Won't they? And then she got this other guy. And
this older army dude.
But for Whitley Gilbert, he checks all the boxes.
I know, but to me, he seemed way older.
Well, sure, he was totally wrong for her.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, he checked all her boxes. And Dwayne Wayne would have been this, like, they struggled when their first apartment was trash. Mm-hmm. And Whitley comes from old money and the Southern Belle, and so they were unlikely and not supposed to be together. But when Dwayne Wayne powered through that wedding congregation, and my God,
yeah, the audience went crazy.
The audience went nuts, and he just shouted, "Baby, please, I do." It was great.
It was kind of like the Huxtable anniversary thing. Like, you always remember that.
I'll never forget it. Such good
call.
Time. I know, right? Thank you.
Do you have any more?
I have one more, and it's probably the most important.
Okay.
And all I'll say is this. I, Ross, take thee, Rachel.
Oh my God. And then Rachel turns around and is like...
That was huge.
That was a big deal. But yeah, did you expect that?
I did not. In fact, I remember at the time being really nervous. Like, everyone gets excited because Rachel realizes that she's still in love with him and she's going to go stop the wedding, which in hindsight, yeah, it makes her a douche, because remember later in the series when Emily calls and leaves a message on his machine and Monica's like, who does that? And Rachel looks at her like, it was not the right thing to do. But once she gets there and she just hugs him and says, congratulations, you're like, oh, because Ross and Rachel belong together. And I thought he's going to get married. This is going to drag on for more and more. Like, it was hurting my heart.
Well, technically he does still get married. He
does, but for him to say, it was so short.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best.
The
nuptials didn't go well. Let's just say that. So.
It was funny when he goes, Emily. Like the second time.
Emily. Yeah.
So when I watched it, I loved it because I wanted Ross and Rachel to be together, but I kind of expected it. So not the, the only reason I probably expected it was because I was like, surely they're not going to let her go all the way to London and then have that moment with him and then something not happen. So I was kind of expecting it.
Well,
as much as I liked it even.
I didn't see that. I mean, I think it was cool how they did it.
Yeah.
Like something had to go wrong. That was really awesome. Yeah. That was just a big moment. That's etched in my memory. I'll never forget that. And
thank you, Joey, for making out with the European girl and not paying attention to Rachel walking right through. Because that was your one job.
Right. He might win an award in our next segment, Joe. I'm not gonna give any spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we never really talked about, if I can I?
Please. I've done all of this.
I didn't want to steal your thunder. But we never really talked about destination weddings. Yeah. Those always kind of fascinated me.
Those are pretty cool.
When you watch people do that. 25% of marriages are destination weddings.
Wow.
There are over 340,000 each year. That's a big number.
I would not expect that.
That's a big number.
Why didn't you chime in? You got to shut me up. Chime in.
No, I mean,
I move on and you sit there in silence.
I didn't want to ruin your flizzo.
No,
you were on a roll.
That's a lot of destination weddings. Would you be pissed if your friend had a destination wedding?
Would I be pissed?
Well, you got plane fare. You've got the tux. You've got.
Well, I guess it depends on how
No, I'm kidding.
Gracious they were. No, I'm joking. It just intrigues me. So like, you were talking about the $70.5 billion number. What do you think the destination wedding
cost?
Annual spending is?
Damn. Well,
it's obviously not as much. But I just want to see how close you get.
I would say probably tens of millions.
No, it's in the B's. It's in
the billions?
Billions.
Well, then tell me. I don't know.
Oh, that was my John Lovitz. I was trying to billions. 16 billion.
Damn.
Now, I think this data is a few years old, but 16 billion. And I think you talked about the average budget being 30. Is that what you said?
30,000 for a wedding and reception is the average cost.
So I thought this number was pretty high for a destination wedding, but it says the average budget for a destination wedding is 28,000. I would think that would be kind of high.
It does sound kind of high.
Maybe they're just incorporate the travel.
There's travel and hotel, and then of course you've got an officiant, you've got decorations, you've got. You still have all the same things, although it's embarrassing to tell you why I know this. But after my first date with Josh, I started Googling destination weddings.
And now it's come out.
Because I would have married him on our first date, stone cold sober. He was it.
Hey.
I know.
Hey, get a room.
Well, we're not here to talk about me and Josh, but let's just say I secretly, and before we got engaged, we did not talk about getting engaged. We did not talk about marriage. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about any of that. We just knew, that this was it.
Yeah.
We talked about our future, but there was no talk of engagement ring shopping, no talk of where we'd get married or how we would do it, none of that. So I kept this very close to the chest. I did not want to scare him away.
Thank God.
I did not want to scare him away. But let's just
Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to experience Josh like we have. Thanks.
I was very cool about it. He had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I did look up some destination weddings like in Florida, and there are very affordable ways to do it.
Oh, sure.
But still very pricey. I mean,
Okay.
and for me, like I was looking at packages where you can get the photographer, the officiant, you can get like a numbered chair set up, like how many guests, just like small, bigger,
Oop, I have a stat on that, but go
Okay.
ahead. But go ahead.
Well,
'Cause it's in that same.
So it was in the few thousand. I would say anywhere from like 2 to 5 or 6, depending on how big you wanted to do it. But that's not that wasn't factoring in like accommodations.
Okay. Well, I got a couple more cool stats.
And let's just tell those who don't know, I did end up marrying him in my brother's living room. Okay. No, we didn't do a destination.
Tell him what day.
Christmas night. No big deal.
Yeah, no biggie. So the average number of guests at a destination wedding, I would have thought this was a little high.
I would say 20.
48.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's 20-ish on each side. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably
That
about
makes
right.
sense.
Okay. This one kind of seems like duh. Like 9 out of 10 couples say the weather is a key factor. Duh.
Sure.
But this one, domestic versus international, what percentage do you think is a destination wedding more on the domestic or international? Like what percentage?
Like cost? Wait.
No,
I don't.
like how many, like of the destination weddings, what percentage would be domestic, what percentage would be international?
Probably pretty small. I'd say 15%.
Domestic?
International.
Actually, no.
Really?
40%.
40, almost half of destination weddings.
But this is even the craziest one. 25% domestic. I would have thought it'd be the other way around.
Wow.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's got that kind of money?
I don't know.
Damn.
No. I'm sorry.
You mixed it up, didn't you? You messed it up.
I'm so sorry.
You're so stupid.
Sorry. My bad. God, see, I thought I had this really cool fun fact.
Okay.
60%, this makes more sense.
Okay.
Take place in a domestic.
Okay.
25% location wedding, whatever.
Okay.
And then 40% international. But
Still, that's high, 40%.
right, the leading destinations for out-of-town weddings are, Mary Beth, can you guess?
Florida?
Las Vegas,
Oh, okay.
80,000.
Las Vegas, I'm going to say Florida.
No. Think U.S., but think grand. I'm like doing this like gesture with my hand. That's why she's laughing.
Grand. I don't know.
Hawaii.
Oh. Duh.
20,000 ish.
Okay. Yeah.
And then U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Which is on the Caribbean life.
Sure.
Jamaica
I was going to say Jamaica.
and Bahamas.
Nice.
So yeah, I thought those are some cool fun facts.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I totally missed it.
I guess I had packed all my destination wedding thoughts away many years ago.
So glad you didn't tell him that.
I know. He would have been so freaked out. No, he wouldn't have been freaked out because guess what? After a week, he told me he loved me. He said it first. After 1 week. Ha ha!
Okay.
So maybe I wouldn't have scared him away.
Sucker.
Okay, so let's talk about mom and dad. As we just told you earlier, they on Friday just celebrated their 49th wedding anniversary and 49 years of wedded bliss. I'm sure it was wedded bliss 24/7 all the way.
Oh yeah, no issues ever.
Especially considering, let's see, mom was 19, which would have made him
22.
22, and
Yeah, 22.
they had to.
Actually, he would have been May, June, July. He wasn't 22 yet.
She was about to turn 20.
Yeah, 'cause
he was about to turn 22.
He wouldn't have turned until October. They got married in April, right? Maybe.
He would have been. Well, he's 3 years older.
Right, but they got married in 75,
Right.
April. So it hasn't been October of 75
I
yet.
gotcha. I
And
gotcha.
he's born in 53.
Gotcha.
So he was 21.
Okay.
He was going to be 22 in like 5 or 6 months.
Anyway.
June, July, August, September. 6 months.
Isn't listening to us do math fun?
Hey, if you ever watch School of Rock, you'll get this reference. I was telling her before the podcast I want her to watch School of Rock because we love Jack Black.
We love him.
Math is a wonderful thing. And he starts strumming his guitar. Math is a beautiful... Okay.
No, I need to get on that too.
Such dorks.
Well, they started out.
Okay, they were young. The point.
They were very young. And they began, Dad was in the military in the Air Force. And so their adventures took them across an ocean. They lived in the Philippines. Poor mom was very pregnant with me and had a 2-year-old, our sister. When she first arrived, she had to be hospitalized, literally because of what they called culture shock. She could not handle it.
Mom was?
The heat.
I've never heard that story.
You've never heard that?
No.
Yeah, the heat and humidity, the bugs as big as your hand, just.
I mean, did you guys think I was like too immature to even accept that kind of story? Like, why haven't I not heard that story before? That
Maybe
actually
you
makes
need to talk to mom more.
That actually pisses me off.
Maybe,
excuse me.
Excuse you. You need to have some heart-to-hearts with that woman because you would know this story if you did.
I talk to mom all the time. Thank you very little.
I don't know how you don't know that story because we've talked about Philippines.
I feel like there's been like 2 episodes where you've told me something I've never heard before about mom and dad.
Well, yeah, I don't know how.
You got any more, Mary Beth? I mean, do I even know my parents?
I'm saving the big secrets for later. We'll wait till you're 60.
Yeah, am I really biologically your brother?
So she was hospitalized for culture shock.
Okay.
They moved to, they lived in North Dakota.
Which I apparently, from what I'm told, I would live there when I was like a year old.
And Illinois,
or so.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I think mom decided to move back when she did not, as I understand it, want to have another baby in the Philippines.
Correct. And there's that whole, like after 7 or 8 months, you can't fly or something like that.
She didn't want to have another baby like out away from home.
So it was like,
because she almost died when she gave birth to me. You're welcome, Mom.
Yeah, so I think she was like 6 months or so, and she's like, if I'm gonna go, I gotta go now. Kind of.
I always tell Mom. She almost died giving birth to me, and I've been killing her ever since.
But yeah, I think that was the deal. Like she had to get out while the getting was good, or else if she would have waited another month or 2, they wouldn't have let her fly.
Yeah. So
she'd been 2 preggers.
So by the time, I don't know how it went, because if you were in North Dakota, that doesn't make sense. But I want to say that he was, or maybe once she had you, that's when he moved us to North Dakota, then Illinois, because I know that she eventually left the Philippines because he had just a few more months left, and so she came back home.
Yeah, and he didn't see me until I was like 3 months old.
Exactly. So that's okay. So we got that straight.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And there's a story behind that, but I don't remember all the detail. I just remember Dad was really pissed. Like, he was expecting to be home like right around then, and then they told him he couldn't for some reason or another, and he got really upset. And I think he let the Air Force know about it.
Well, the point is, very, very young. You don't know anything, and you've got all these kids just right in a row because we're all very close in age, and they're moving, and moving is fucking stressful. Like, there's probably nothing more stressful in a marriage. Like, if you had a top 5, there's probably, serious illness, maybe the wedding, nonsense, children, and then moving.
Right.
It sucks. And so they had to move, several times when we were very, very little. And I just don't know how they made it. I'm just grateful.
Yeah. Well, if you put it in perspective, think about this. So we have, you and I and our oldest sister, all 3 have 19-year-olds. So while she didn't have like all the kids at 19, all 3 of us, and doing all the moving, she was really only a couple years older than that.
That's nuts.
And it's like for her to be able to like sack up and just take care of all that kind of stuff while Dad had to, do what he was doing. It's just amazing.
Well, do you know this? That she went to Grandma and was like, I don't want to go to the Philippines. And Grandma was like, yeah, you're going.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, you got any more of these stories,
There
Dan?
you go.
No, I've never heard this story.
Grandma Doris. Oh, so tender. The Grandma Doris, whose nickname in the family was El Capitan.
El Capitan.
Nah, she told her. She was like, no, you got married. You're going. He's your husband. And, was that the right thing? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I get
they
that.
should have stayed.
I
yes.
get that. I get that.
She was right, but man.
But mom was just a kid.
Mom was a kid, having a kid, already had a kid,
That's
another
crazy.
On the way. And
that's crazy to think about.
That is, I know. I can't imagine if I went to Mom just crying, saying, I don't want to go to Asia. And Mom just being like, sorry, babe, let me help you pack. But my parents are they're strong people. They've been through some shit. house fire when we were in high school, dad's illnesses, and more recently, mom's illnesses. 2017, the terrible spring of 2017 when dad got really sick and almost died. And we've put them through some things. We weren't bad kids. We didn't get into trouble in school and stuff like that. I mean, we had our fender benders, and that was stressful. But we had, my sister and I, we had our first marriages breaking up. Those were difficult, and they've taken us in when we've had trouble. Like after my divorce, I lived there, and then Jen and her husband, when they had a baby, moved, lived there for a while because they were looking for a place. And I mean, there's so much that they've been through that it's so nice now for them to have a condo in Florida, living out their dream retirement, and
they got a rental property or two.
And I'm so glad they toughed it out. But if anybody had a reason to not end up married 49 years now, it's them.
Yeah, when you put it that way, they've really been through it.
Yes.
It's crazy. I mean, I think when I was like, what age was I? I was 4 or 5, and Mom was literally driving down the road, and I was playing a game in my head, and I was sitting shotgun, and I literally opened the door and fell out of a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff we put our parents through.
Yeah. I'm the one who burned the house down. We weren't troublesome kids, but we did put them through some things.
We were adventurous.
We did put them through some things,
yeah.
And it is kind of incredible to
their ability to adapt and.
Yeah. Well, I remember one time Dad giving me advice about marriage, and he said something to the effect of, you got to marry someone who makes your socks go up and down, because he said life is hard, and when you go through the hard stuff, it's easier to get through when you're with someone who makes your socks go up and down. And he's right. Like there's got to be that za-za-zoo, you know what I mean? And that my mom and dad have always had the za-za-zoo. Like they've always, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about what they modeled for us. One of the things that I always appreciated about their marriage was that they did not hide their physical affection for each other in front of us. Yeah. We saw Mom and Dad, like Dad just pawed all over that woman. Mm-hmm. And that's nice to see. Kids need to see your parents in love.
I've never remember feeling like icked out by that.
Right, ever. Like kids always seem icked out.
Like, don't do that. Like I loved it.
I did too. It made me, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have the language for it back then.
Right.
It made me feel safe.
Right. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I liked that.
So that's one thing for sure that they modeled for me, is to be able to see them in love.
Yeah.
And
no, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I remember that.
What about you?
It's going to be more.
There's a weed eater outside. We told you. Hey, the windows are open. It is hot.
It's 80 degrees in here, so.
It is getting kind of loud. But
it's just one of those trade-offs. You're just going to have to hear this person weed eating. We'll try to speak up. But I mean, I don't know if so this may not answer it fairly, but it's kind of in the same. So like, it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with like their marriage. Like, you remember how we grew up in the holidays and birthdays, and I always felt like they included us in stuff. Like, you see some parents today, I don't know a specific example, but you'll see some parents today are like, oh God, my kids are driving me crazy. Like, I got to be away from them. I always just felt like we were always together with them.
Right. We had to be.
So it was, I guess, so my point is, it's just how they were around us and how they raised us and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
How lucky are we? Because I know we got on their damn nerves.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't see that.
Right. I mean,
that's incredible too. Because Mom also went back to get her college degree, because she quit college for a time to get married and then travel with Dad and whatever. And so she eventually went back. And so she had 3 kids. She always had a job. Then she went back to finish college, then became a teacher. So
I remember when she used to work at the Hut, Pizza Hut.
I remember Pizza Hut. I remember her picking us up from Grandma and Grandpa's in Charlestown. Yeah. after her shift. But yeah, so we were always together. Like we talked about in another episode, like babysitting didn't have a lot of that. So we always were with them, and they always seemed
but not just with them, but I always felt like we were cohesive, maybe is not the right word, but we had fun.
We had fun together.
You know what I mean? And I would go to school and hear kids talk about their parents like in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand my mom and dad. Or
I know.
I can't be like, and I would always kind of shake my head going, why?
Our parents were the coolest parents ever.
Right. Like, why? They would take us out to see Christmas lights, or if they went to go buy a new car, we got to go to the dealership with them. And it just, I don't know. We just always felt like we were having fun.
I always felt like that
so
too.
They always made it seem fun to be with them.
Yeah.
Acting goofy, and then Dad would act goofy to Mom, and he'd try to like play with her ear, and she'd start laughing, or stop it, Joe, and like that stuff makes an impression on you as a kid.
It really does. Like, it was fun. It was fun to be
and
around
like
them.
just vacations, like going to Florida,
Yeah.
like when we were younger, and staying at motels, and I don't know. Yeah,
I remember just lots of laughter.
Exactly.
Lots of laughter.
Yeah. So, and too, going back to that point of like what Mom, had to go through, and this isn't a knock on Dad at all. It's just kind of the circumstances that it was. He was in the Air Force, so Mom was kind of like on base and with like dealing with us. But then it was like when he started his career, he was in insurance. He was gone a lot. Mom was,
alone with us a lot.
Taking care of us. Then Dad when he started teaching, he got into coaching, which is a time commitment.
Right.
So, I mean, Mom, you got to give her a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
But I don't ever, and I'm sure she did this to herself and to Dad, but I just never really saw her complain.
I didn't either, but I'll tell you what, I'm sure she was in the closet drinking every night.
No, I mean...
She hit it very well.
No, I mean, like, being an adult with kids now, I'm sure there were times where she was about ready to, like, blow her brains out.
Yeah, for sure.
And probably complain to Dad about having to be with the kids too, because then he liked to golf. Like, let's be honest, Dad was a golfer. But Dad was also providing and, caring for us, and just, I don't know, set good examples for us, and always kind of taught us right from wrong. So, listen, Dad did his part.
He did.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I'm just trying to make the point that Mom was so strong in some of the stuff that she had to deal with solo at a lot of times. And so, but it was still cool when they came together, just to see them together. And so I know we kind of got off on a tangent, but that's kind of what I always...
that's kind of the point.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what I always felt growing up, was like you said, safe. I always felt like I was laughing. I always felt like I was cared for, supported. Like, I never felt like any decision I made as I got into high school, even, whether it was a sport or whatever, I never felt like I was going to be looked down on. Mm-hmm. I just never felt that. I always felt like whatever I decided on, whatever it was, that Mom and Dad at least listened. They may tell me something I didn't want to hear.
Right.
But I never felt like, what am I getting at? I never felt like scared to approach them about a decision or...
Yeah, they were always supportive, and they treated us, as we got older, they treated us like adults.
Yeah. I always felt like their friend.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
in a strange way.
But I still felt like they parented the right way.
They were the boss.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, I didn't want to overstep.
Right.
I never felt like I should or had the ability to.
Yeah.
But I never had to, because of the way they treated us, so...
Yeah, and I've often thought about this. As a parent, you reflect on your own childhood and how your parents handled things. So I've thought about this for the last 19 years a lot, and I don't know how they did it. How did they seem to instinctively know how to do it right. And oddly enough, though, because we're Generation X and we did have the playtime, like the free playtime, and we were ignored in that sense a lot. Like, we were together all the time, but at the same time, we lived the normal Gen X childhood where you go out and play, you come home when it's dark, and so there was still that. But they always supported us. You always felt supported, and you always felt like you could go to them, with whatever. Another thing that I think that they modeled well for us is boundaries. Like, as with any Gen X kid, you didn't get a say. You didn't have a vote. You didn't have any sway in the family decisions. But I never felt shafted. You know what I mean?
No, ever.
Like, they started at the very beginning setting boundaries where we knew that they were the adults, we were the kids. They decide, we go along with it. Even just like locking their door at night. That's a boundary. That shows that time together, just peace and quiet, when they're ready to land the plane at night, that's important. And they protected, I think that's another reason that they stayed together. You have to protect your union. You have to protect your relationship. You have to give it some...
Yeah, it makes sense.
Some alone time. And I think one of the biggest problems I see today in marriages is that parents put their kids first, and you can't do that. They're your children forever. Yes. But they do grow up and they do move out, and then you're left with this other person. So if you don't nurture your relationship first and foremost, there will be nothing there left when the nest is empty. And during, when Mallory was in travel volleyball,
you see it a lot in that.
Oh my gosh, travel
sports.
You have husbands and wives and kids in multiple sports spending weekends in different cities all the time, and I'm like, how can a marriage survive that? It just blows me away. But mom and dad always were very protective of each other, and what. And just a simple thing like just closing their door at night. And we knew, unless you were bleeding, and maybe not even then, don't bother them. And that's something that is, I doubt a lot of people do now.
Yeah.
Because they're completely 100% 24/7 available, accessible.
Yeah.
And they put their marriage first, I think.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I feel like we've had so many good experiences with them growing up and even through adulthood. It's pretty cool. Pretty grateful. Even just simple stuff like going to our aunt and uncles to go swim.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was just us kids swimming. It was like Dad would get in there and, we'd listen to the music, and Dad would get on the diving board, or he'd throw us off. So he was just always including us in fun stuff. And he was goofy, and I think he taught us how to have like a sense of humor. His personality, and Mom's too. I'm just saying, Dad we cut up, and
we had sense of humor.
We goofy and.
Yeah, we definitely weren't sticks in the mud.
Yeah, I felt like he was serious when he needed to be, and he wasn't when it was appropriate.
Yeah.
And so he always taught me, at least. And again, Mom taught me stuff. I'm just giving an example. He always just taught me that balance, like in my head of this is when it's time to put your game face on. This is when it's time to be funny and just let loose. And Dad was always really good about that, because even when I would just have like conversations with him at the dinner table, like let's say because we always had family dinners, so we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, family
dinners. We had family dinners. Like Mom cooked, and it was just the deal.
That was it.
Maybe went to McDonald's twice a year.
It was
And you sat at the damn table and had dinner, and we talked about stuff. But what I was going to say was,
do I appreciate Mom for that. I hate cooking.
Right.
And she did it every night.
Yeah, I'm sure she complained on her own, but it's one of those things where I never saw her.
We didn't see it.
It was just family dinner.
And
So what I was going to say, and if you have family dinner stories to share, it's fine. We talk about memories and stuff with our parents, and dinner would be over. You guys would leave the table and go do whatever you did. Go to your room.
And Dad would make his peanut butter and jelly.
Dad would make his peanut butter and jelly, and he'd get the chips out.
That was his dessert.
He would get the chips and the milk out. But I remember as a kid growing up, so I think this speaks to our parents. Like, I didn't want to just leave the table.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be done with my dad or my mom. I wanted to stay there. I was just so intrigued by him because he always had stories to tell. Yeah. He always had cool life experiences to share, and I loved listening to it. And then
same.
I wish I could you ever have those moments where you're like, I wish I could go back and watch myself experience something that I remember.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like see yourself in time. Mm-hmm. I would literally, Mary Beth, sit there in the chair next to him and literally just sit there I'd be like this and just stare at him telling stories.
He's a good storyteller.
Yeah, I would just have my hand on my cheek and just watch him tell stories, and I just was so into that. Mm-hmm. And there were times, and I hope this doesn't make you feel left out, but because it was just he and I sitting there, it'd be 8:00 at night. It was even like a school night. Dad would have told his 20th story, and it wasn't just him talking. We'd go back and forth, but he'd be like, "You want to go to the gas station and get a apple pie?" And we would just up and go.
Yeah.
It was amazing. That kind of stuff.
Well, see, us girls had that with Dad, but we had that with Mom.
That's good. So I was hoping so.
As we got older, we spent a lot of time with Mom going shopping. And, of course, Mom can shop. Now, I'll tell you, I'm not a shopper.
I'm not either.
Those trips were exhausting, but I got to spend so much time with her. And And now she is my person, you know.
I complained one time because she was shopping too long. And I sat by a mannequin and I knocked the mannequin's head up because I hit the mannequin's body and the head came off. Sorry. But yeah, I just want to share that because I wanted everybody to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, just something that just seems so simple. But man, it almost makes me emotional thinking about it. And you're like, because you went to go get an apple pie, but that wasn't the point.
The special moments.
That wasn't the point. It was just like, he was like, let's go get one. And I remember looking at him going, hell yeah, let's go get one. Like I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But I got in the car and it might as well just been Christmas morning. Like I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, man, it's dark.
So now you kind of understand what it was like for me working with him for 17 years.
Oh, I was super jealous, by the way.
Oh,
I
really?
was super jealous.
It was such an amazing.
Yeah, I almost disowned you for that.
Yeah, we not only worked together as teachers in the same building, but we both had only seniors, and we both were senior class sponsors. So that meant we did all the senior activities, planned them together, went on the senior trip to DC every year together. It was, I can't express enough what a magical part of my life that was. And now, honestly, as adults, I'd say since I started just living on my own, you know, to go from, you know, mother-daughter to like best friends is also magical because our relationship, your relationship should evolve with your parents, and she's become my best friend, my go-to. You know how we talked in an earlier episode about I would feel like very much a child, like a small child, if something happened to them, because we still look to them. Their opinion matters above all others.
Oh, 100%.
And we still look to them for support, advice, whatever. They anchor us, I would say. Mm-hmm. And so I just enjoyed becoming good friends with Mom all these years. So I don't know. They went through so much, and it could not have possibly been as easy as they made it look to us. So I just want to say thanks, Mom and Dad. And we
thank you.
Are so grateful for you.
Ditto. And I mean, that's really the whole like genesis of this episode was their anniversary. Like that's what kind of prompted us.
That's what we wanted to.
If people are like, why are you rambling? Well, it's just, I mean, we started talking about weddings and marriages, but it's really comes down to it is like, we want to say that, you know, this is why we want to do this today, was to appreciate, you know, everything that they did.
We wanted to honor Mom and Dad for their 49th.
But you're right, though. It really just seemed effortless. And I know it wasn't. I totally get that it wasn't. As a parent, I just know it wasn't.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they made it seem like it was.
Yeah.
So
happy 49th to them.
Yeah, happy 49th.
We're going to take a break. And in our second half, we are going to have a toast and a roast.
And a roast. I'm excited about this.
I am too. Okay, we are back. We're going to call this segment a toast
and a roast.
Very nice. We are going to go through some best and worst categories centering around relationships on TV and maybe in movies, and who did it best, who did it worst, and why. And we have not compared notes here, folks. So we don't know. We don't know yet what the other person has chosen. And Joe, you may have to defend some of your answers because I'm sure they're going to be all wrong.
Whatever.
Are you ready?
I'm always ready. Well, let's do it.
Let's talk about the best wedding movie.
Okay.
I know what you're going to pick.
Damn it. All right, so does that mean you want me to start?
Go for it.
Okay. 4 weddings and a funeral.
I knew it.
I don't know why. I love it so much.
You have always loved that movie.
I love it. I watch it probably 10 times a year.
Really?
I love it.
I do too. I love that movie as
well.
well.
I really do. I love it. And it's so it was like an early 90s, maybe mid 90s, 94.
Hugh Grant
before he got in trouble.
With the prostitute?
Yeah. Andy McDowell, which I love.
Yeah,
I love Andy McDowell. Young Andy McDowell. Mm-hmm. Loved her.
Me too.
But there were some unknowns in there, and that's probably why I liked it. I guess there was a good mix of Hugh Grant was Hugh Grant, Andy McDowell was Andy McDowell, but then there were some like unknown actors that were maybe in some other stuff that you didn't realize,
Right.
But they were not as well known.
And the story was
story was really unique, super unique. So yeah, that was my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah.
My best wedding movie, which I've mentioned on the pod before, The Wedding Singer.
Really?
I love that movie.
I like it.
Hey.
I don't know that it's my favorite.
Let me tell you something. Adam Sandler is incredibly underrated as an actor. He's a very good dramatic actor. I don't like a lot of his slapstick movies. I don't mind them, but I'm not a big fan of Adam Sandler-esque comedy. And in this movie, he's not the typical SNL, Navy beans, Hanukkah Adam Sandler. I love his character. I love the premise where he's a wedding singer going around. He meets Drew Barrymore, who works in catering or as a server. It's so fun. It's so funny. And it's such a cute, cute, simple. If you think about a singer who stylizes too much, that's what I think movies do sometimes. And he just took it back to the basic boy meets girl love story, fun, the love song at the end on the plane. I love everything about it.
No, it's a good one.
And it's in the 80s, so I love the nostalgia, the music. It's just, I adore it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. He's good, and I like it. I don't dislike it. It's just not the best one, so you're wrong.
Yeah. Okay. How about the worst?
Bride Wars.
What?
That was Kate Hudson and Anne Hathaway.
You had me at Anne Hathaway. She's the worst.
I mean, good
I hate
grief,
her.
that movie was awful.
Gosh, can you be more arrogant? Like, no, arrogance isn't even the word. Anne Hathaway, if you watch her in an interview, she is so pretentious.
Oh, God.
She's so pretentious.
Every time I watch her, I just go, oh, God. Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh.
But I guess, so quickly, the premise is, have you seen it?
No, hell no.
Okay, so I might get a detail or two wrong, but the premise is they're both friends.
Yes.
They're both engaged right around the same time, and then they both book the same place.
So they're competing for all the same vendors.
Yeah, or at least one.
Okay.
And so they get pissed at each other, and then they literally tackle each other's ass down the aisle and stuff. It's really strange,
Stupid.
just stupid. That's it. I was like, this is stupid.
You know what? I hate me a Bridezilla. And to watch a movie about Bridezillas duking it out, no, not interested.
Really stupid.
Okay, my worst wedding movie. And this might be unpopular. I don't like My Best Friend's Wedding. I didn't like it when it came out. I tried to like it.
Help me. Is that the Cameron Diaz one? Or is
That's
that
Cameron Diaz and Julia Roberts.
And Dylan McDermott? Or am I thinking of a different one?
Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He was on Friends.
Well, it's funny because those two actors are
right.
chronically misunderstood.
Yeah. No, good call.
So I knew I was supposed to like it, and I love Julia Roberts. I don't think she can do wrong, but this movie was wrong. It was sad. It's a sad premise. She loves her best friend. It's hard for her to see him with someone else.
Julia Roberts is in a couple wedding movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was never really a big Cameron Diaz fan.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I couldn't really get into it.
How weird. The Holiday with Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, Kate Winslet, that is my ultimate.
Really?
That's my favorite movie. But I've never been a real big fan of hers either. But in The Holiday, Cameron Diaz, she turns down the Cameron Diaz a notch. So that's why I think I like that movie so much. But yeah, My Best Friend's Wedding, just didn't like it.
Okay.
How about Best Proposal?
Gosh, I kind of struggled with this one.
How? I've got the best one.
Well, I feel like we might have the same one on this one. But I really did struggle with it. This was, out of all the categories we had, I left this one blank the longest and had to come back to it.
I did leave Worst Proposal blank because I couldn't think of a really.
Okay, so I'll just.
But I think I may be able to come up with one.
And it was one of those things where I picked it, the best one, and I'm like, but is that my favorite? So I struggled with this one. I put Sheldon and Amy.
That's a good one.
On Big Bang.
That's a good one.
Because he literally just flew to where she was and knocked on the door.
Didn't say a word.
Didn't say a word.
The way that they present that is so perfect.
So Big Bang Theory, the Big Bang
Theory. That's a good one. That's a good one. Good job.
But so it's not like I didn't like it. I'm like, is it my favorite
the
though?
best?
I couldn't. Yeah. So I kind of struggle with that one.
Yeah. Well, I think the best proposal that I've ever seen on a TV show or movie.
Don't you dare say it. Don't you dare say
it. Barney Stinson, How I Met Your Mother, proposing to Robin, the playbook, the most fucking epic proposal of all time.
Good call. That was a good one.
Man.
Damn, I'm pissed I didn't think of that one.
He had to
I forgot about the playbook.
Oh, dude. And she gets to the rooftop terrace and picks that up, and it says the final play. And it talks about how he has been just like hoodwinking her for weeks, faking this relationship with a coworker that she can't stand. And it's just, and then she like moves the paper down after she reads it, and he's on his knees. Barney Stinson is so wait for it.
Legendary.
Legendary. So I thought that was the most beautiful, perfect, entertaining proposal.
I'm pissed I didn't think of that one. Damn it.
Well, I couldn't come up with a worst proposal, but there are certainly bad ones.
I did.
Okay.
Ross and Emily. We talked about their wedding earlier.
Yeah.
That was lame. It was in the apartment. He had that damn earring in his ear, and he's like, why don't we just get married?
Oh my God, let's get married. Oh my God.
But then they like started circling each other around the apartment. It's so stupid, man. I thought that was super lame. I think it was plus I didn't like her.
Plus I didn't like her,
so
right?
That,
Yeah.
I didn't like her accent. She had the really annoying English accent. She didn't even have like a tolerable one, like they do in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. She had a fucking annoying one.
She did.
She did, didn't she?
Like I've got cocaine stuck up my bum.
Perfect. Am I right?
You're
okay.
Right.
No, it's perfect.
It's not the lovely, sophisticated Kristen Scott Thomas in 4 Weddings and a Funeral is Fiona.
Yeah, and then like the first time you meet the bitch. She knocks on the door of the apartment. She's drenched in rain, and she bitches at him. I'm like, who the hell are you?
Right. And that's how Ross feels.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's just perfect. Get the hell off the screen, woman. So anyway, when they started like chasing each other like little 5-year-olds around the apartment, I thought that was the goofiest fucking proposal I've ever seen.
Yeah. I did think about Andy and Angela in The Office because he steals Jim's thunder. But it's hard for me to say that's the worst proposal. I mean, it's not romantic because Angela's like, yes. Like she's being so mean about it, and he's like pulling the microphone cord, and Daryl's getting pissed off because he's messed with his keyboard or whatever. It's funny, so it's hard for me to say worst proposal. But I would say honorable mention best proposals. I mean, Holly and Michael Scott.
I thought about that one.
That was a pretty good one.
But can I tell you, you and I are such huge Office fans, so I'm almost even afraid to even tell you this because I don't want you to think I'm hating on it. But do you know why I didn't pick that one?
Why?
Because they started doing the Yoda talk.
Oh, but that's
I know. I knew you were going to say that.
Oh.
But I just didn't like that.
Oh,
Marry me, will you be? Or something like that.
I love that. Like that. That's so them. And that's where he talked like Yoda when they first met.
I know why they did it.
Okay, like right in that spot.
I know.
Okay.
Fixing the chair. I just didn't like it.
Okay.
I thought they just kind of took away from the.
Yeah.
They had all those candles and.
Another honorable mention, great proposal was Chandler and Monica.
Oh, epic.
That was pretty epic.
That was epic. Again, going back to The Office, I almost picked Jim and Pam, but I thought, no, I don't know if I really liked that one.
You know what?
The Rest Stop.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
However, I do think, well,
this is not halfway.
Let's put a pin in it.
Okay. I got you.
I think they made up for it. I'll just say that.
Okay.
So, yeah, worst proposal. I'd struggle with that one. How about best bride?
Pam Beesly.
Really?
I think Pam Beesly was the best bride.
Why?
I think probably because I'm being biased and I love the show so much and I wanted Jim and Pam to eventually get married and have kids and this and that. And, she came in emotional to Jim. He's like, are we supposed to be seeing each other? And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, she just seemed so sweet in the moment. And she's like, they're driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And then he cuts his tie and it just, I don't know. I just liked Pam.
Yeah.
I just liked her character. And
I like Pam too, but you're wrong. The best bride was David Rose in Schitt's Creek. I'm sorry.
I never saw Schitt's Creek.
You didn't?
No. I've never seen it.
Folks.
No. You watch Suits and I'll watch Schitt's Creek.
You
owe me about 6 shows.
You have to watch Schitt's Creek.
After you watch Suits.
Okay. I will watch Suits. You're going to watch Schitt's Creek and realize that I'm right. There is, from the proposal to the chaos of planning.
This is Eugene Levy's son.
This is
gets
Dan
married.
Levy. Guys, if you have not been introduced to Dan Levy, he is a treasure of the world. He's beautiful inside and out. He is incredibly talented. He's so funny and so smart. That show was his idea. He wrote that show with a little help from his dad. It's such a beautiful show. It has so much heart. It is a riches to rags story. So you've got this incredibly wealthy family, loses everything, and have to sort of navigate this new normal that is just so beneath them, right? And it just has so much heart. And so his wedding process to Patrick, his boyfriend, is so, funny because of him, because he is just, you need to see it.
Okay, don't spoil it. I'll get to it after you watch Suits.
He was the most entertaining bride for me.
And then after you watch Suits, it'll be, 7-1 in shows that you've maybe watched versus what you've watched that I've...
Well, hey, give me some more ideas. I'll watch. I'll watch some more.
Okay, so that's what it is. I haven't given you enough options. Okay.
No.
No, I heard you.
I've been pretty helpful.
No, I heard
with
you.
man.
I heard you.
I've introduced you to beautiful, beautiful things.
Okay, you have actually. Although you talked about Barney, you talked about How I Met Your Mother. I'm pissed about the ending.
Oh, let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
'Cause,
all right.
I've got some things to say. So I would say Worst Bride. I'm going to say, now this is from a movie, and you haven't seen it, now that I know you haven't watched Sex and the City, but I'm going to say Carrie Bradshaw, which is also controversial.
Oh, so they end up getting married?
In the movie.
Her and Mr. Big.
Mr. Big.
That's a Friends reference,
It's
by the
in
way.
the movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. So yeah, and he leaves her at the altar. Spoiler alert, but it's years and years old. I love the movie. I love the scene where all of this happens. It's very dramatic. It brings tears to my eyes every single time.
Okay, so
I watch it. Yeah.
Just stay right where you're at.
Okay.
So they didn't get married in the show. They made a movie, and then they got married in the movie.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But he sort of leaves her at the altar. There's drama. That's where the sort of the heart of the conflict of the movie is. I'm supposed to feel bad for her, and of course I do, but she also knows him, and he's been clear all along the way that he just wants something simple, yada yada. She gets carried away and turns it into a big circus, and I'm not saying she deserved it, obviously, but I'm just going to say she was the worst bride because she just got out of control with a man who she knew better, wanted to keep things simple and just about them.
Okay.
She made it about herself.
Well, not going to matter because I'm never going to watch the show.
All right.
Worst Bride, I have, we just mentioned her earlier, Julia Roberts in The Runaway Bride.
How about it? Give me 5 on that.
I mean, she left like 4 different weddings. Like she left the altar to like
Terrible.
4 or 5 different weddings.
You're right. You win. That she is the worst bride in that movie.
Awful.
Terrible. Okay. How about best wedding?
I have Dwight and Angela.
I wondered if you'd say that.
Yeah.
That was a pretty damn good wedding.
Yeah, and I think it's because Michael comes back. And it's just, it was very heartfelt. Stanley comes back, and everything. It's like the gang's together. And then Erin meets her parents, and they're there, and Ryan and Kelly get to run off
together.
Yeah.
Man, if anybody got an ending right, it was The Office.
Yeah, and they got to stand in the grave.
The weddings are a bleak affair.
Right. So it kind of goes. It's like it goes back to that. So they got to stand in the graves and stuff.
That's great. I agree. That's a good one. But I did put best wedding, Jim and Pam. The wedding was epic.
Okay, so I said best bride, Pam.
Everybody dancing down the aisle. And then as this is happening, they keep cutting away to what they had done right before. They'd run off. They got on the boat.
The Maid of the Mist.
They're at Niagara Falls. They're on a boat. They get married on the boat. Nobody knows. There's that beautiful moment where the camera pans around and Jim's face. You see the happiness that he has been seeking for years because he's loved her so long. It's a beautiful wedding. That's my favorite.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Worst wedding.
I struggled with this one too.
Yeah.
There was a couple I really wanted to pick.
Really?
Yeah. Like even as I'm looking at mine, I'm like, should I change it on the should I change it on the fly?
You can always do honorable mention.
So Charles and Duckface.
Yes.
Because I wanted him to be with Andy McDowell's character.
Right. That is a terrible wedding.
Awful.
He I can't believe he did that to her.
I know.
It was a terrible thing he did.
Do you, Charles? And he goes, I do. And then she punches him in the face.
Oh, how sad.
Do you, Charles?
I actually did consider that.
Yeah.
Did you have an honorable mention?
Well, it was also 4 weddings and a funeral. But this one was a sad one. So it was when Andy McDowell's character, Carrie, gets married to Hamish. Is it Shamish or Hamish?
I think it's, I don't remember.
And Gareth dies.
Right.
Even though it was like in the reception.
Oh, that is a category.
Right. So well, true. Yeah. But I had an even more elite one in that category. So that's why I didn't pick that one.
Well, I'm with you. That's
you know what I mean. Like
that's a good pick though.
And if you really want Carrie and Charles to be together, and you see her get married, you're like,
sad. Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Well, my worst wedding was actually not because it was the quote worst wedding, but biggest waste of time wedding. How I Met Your Mother, Barney, and I mean, look. Barney and Robin belong together. You took us through a whole season of just their wedding weekend, only in the final 2 episodes to tell us that they got divorced 3 years later. You wasted our time.
Right.
How I Met Your Mother, looking at you writers. I mean, they should have stayed together. They belong together. You took us through a whole season of that weekend and made it so huge only to have it not work out. Shame on them.
Yeah, weak.
Biggest waste of time wedding. Best reception. I've got you. Hey, whatever you pick, mine will be better. Best reception, worst reception. You can't beat what I got.
Okay. Best reception. I have the one on and that's just because I love this movie. I think it's freaking hilarious, and I watched it over and over and over. Was The Wedding Crashers?
I was waiting for The Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, Secretary Cleary's the first daughter's wedding, the oldest daughter's wedding. I like that reception because that's when you really started to get into their characters, and they got real serious. Like the prep work was super serious because it was like Secret Service, and and that's when Vince Vaughn's character meets the crazy sister, and that's when he first meets Rachel.
Oh, that's good times.
I just like that reception. That's when Jane Seymour starts hitting on Owen Wilson. I just thought that reception was classic.
Okay, all right. My favorite reception, King Joffrey and Marjorie Tyrell.
Good call. Good call. Hey.
Best reception. Why? The bastard
dies.
Yeah,
the bastard dies.
Can I just say one of my favorite lines from that whole part of the story? Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was so pumped when he died.
It was... And to watch him suffer the way he did.
Like, you deserve that, you asshole.
What an asshole. And he died during the reception.
Yeah.
Spoiler again, Game of Thrones newbies. But that was a great one. That was my favorite reception.
Good call. You ready?
Worst reception?
We're going to stay with Game of Thrones. The Red Wedding. Yeah! Give me some.
We both put the Red
Wedding.
Wedding.
The Red Wedding.
Damn.
Wow. That was like the I think that might have been the first episode where I was like, wait, holy effing.
Look, if I remember correctly, it happens just before the credits roll. There's no music, is there? It's silence. It's silence. If I recall correctly, that scene left the audience in stunned silence like I have never seen on shows before in my life.
I couldn't believe it. I think that was really when I was like, yeah, I'm all in on this series. I'm all in.
I mean, it was one after another, after another, after another, until the final blow. I mean, yes, we've ruined some things, but if you haven't seen it, I'll save the details.
I mean, listen, this thing's like how many years old?
Well, people might
give
it. Okay,
yeah, but it's your fault if you haven't seen it by now.
Fine. He slits her throat, and then she collapses, and it's just silence. And we're staring at the screen, jaws open.
Couldn't believe it.
like unbelievable. Fun fact about that reception, the drummer up in the music orchestra is Coldplay's drummer.
Really?
I believe so.
Yeah, Lord Walters is sitting there just having his drink, watching everything go down, and they stab Rob Stark's.
Oh, right, yes.
Right when the baby's
She's
like
pregnant.
right in the stomach.
Oh,
It's crushed, man.
and it's just one blow after another.
I know.
And you think it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse.
And they killed the damn direwolf before or something.
Oh, damn.
Damn. Hey, but you know what? They done messed up.
They messed up.
They all got on Arya's list. They done messed up.
Oh, man. That show. Don't even get me started.
That's awesome. We had the same one.
We've got to talk about that show.
That's why I couldn't put Carrie and Hamish's wedding reception where Garrett dies, because I was like, how do I not pick the red wedding?
We both picked the red wedding. I love us.
Yeah.
All right. How about best marriage?
I had to go. So we're just talking about just actual marriage.
Actual marriage.
I had to go Chandler and Monica.
They have a good one.
I mean, they're like best friends, and they joke with each other, and he like supports her OCD or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. You know, her neurotic behavior.
I had to say Cliff and Claire Huxtable. They were marriage goals for me.
Okay.
Because they always...
That's going to rub some people the wrong way.
I don't care. He didn't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Wait.
I'm just saying, hey, when you grow up and Cliff Huxtable is your dad, is like your TV dad, you watch the Huxtables, it becomes a part of your DNA for an 80s guy. Like I'm still sort of in mourning about the Cosby issue.
Yeah.
But I got to say, the love doesn't just disappear, right? That was part of our childhood.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're just talking about a show. We're not talking about him personally.
Yeah, Claire and Cliff had all the relationship goals I wanted. They were playful. They were both intelligent and had a good back and forth together. They were affectionate. They were both strong. They respected each other. Everything about their marriage spoke to me as this is what it's supposed to be like. And even as parents,
right.
You know, like I wanted to be Claire and Cliff. I wanted to find my Heathcliff Huxtable.
I got you.
Because he was crazy about her and she was crazy about him.
Yeah, I just always liked Chandler and Monica's relationship.
They have a great relationship.
Chandler!
Oh, my favorite. That's my favorite line. They're so compatible.
Or when he says, I like managing you or something like that, and she goes,
you're high maintenance, but I like maintaining
and she does this,
you.
and she goes, I didn't even tell him to say that.
I know. They really are perfect together.
Yeah.
They both have their own little crazy, and they balance each other out so beautifully. So I'm with you there. How about the worst marriage?
Ross and Emily. Damn Emily.
I would agree that that's a terrible marriage and that was hard to watch them together. There was something about them together that just didn't work. And I don't know that it was meant to.
And she let it she let the ceremony like be completed. Like they finished it, and then she just like disappeared.
And then disappeared and didn't want anything to do with him. And then had all these, we act like he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, she had a right to feel the way she felt.
Right, but she deserves it.
She deserved it because she's a garbage person.
Because she can't say the word perfect correctly.
Perfect. But yeah, having to give him that ultimatum before she came back, like you can never be in a room with her again, you can never see her again. No, that was bad. You're right. That was a bad marriage. For me, the worst marriage, Ray and Deborah. Everybody loves Raymond.
Oh.
I love that show so much.
Yes, I didn't watch it too much. So.
Oh, it's such a great show.
What was bad about it?
She is a bitch.
You're talking about Ray Romano's wife in that show, Patricia Keaton.
I love her.
Patricia Keaton?
Yes. I love her. I love the show. It's one of my favorites. I watch it.
So she's just a bitch to him. That's the deal.
That show is on loop for me. So nobody, don't hate on me. But when I watch them together, it can be very depressing. They have their moments, their good moments, but it can be depressing because not only Ray is the golden child. I know I say narcissist a lot, but Ray is very much the golden child. That's kind of the concept. Everybody loves Raymond, and then his brother, Rob,
the big tall.
Yes.
Okay.
He's kind of the scapegoat. So Ray is the spoiled little one that gets all the attention and all the praise. So he's grown up to be sort of a covert, vulnerable narcissist. and he manipulates her, and he's a mama's boy. He doesn't have her back the way that he should. I mean, and therein lies the comedy. I mean, it's comedy gold when you put those two forces together. But I don't like how, and she's right most of the time because he is so manipulative, and kind of weak when he shouldn't be, and dishonest, like I said, manipulative. But she also treats him badly. She calls him I don't like watching married couples on TV or in movies. I don't like watching a wife call her husband an idiot.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like that. That their marriage to me stresses me out to watch their marriage, but it's a very funny show, and I do love the show, and I love all the people in it. So, but their marriage, not relationship goals.
Yeah, that's one of those that I never watched it beginning to end, but I would just pass by the TV and see clips of it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Gotcha.
But we never talked about the bridal party. I must have, in my editing on my notes, I must have deleted it and forgot to put it back down. But we've got to do do we have best bridesmaid, worst bridesmaid, best man? We talked about Joey. Let's just say that Joey was a terrible best man.
Oh, awful. God awful.
Because he's supposed to watch for Rachel, who's coming to break up the wedding.
So best man and best bridesmaid?
Well, I just had some in mind. I just forgot to write them down. So I would say he's the worst best man.
Okay,
but I would say the worst bridesmaid would be Rachel. Because when they got engaged and Rachel was feeling lonely.
She was kissing Ross
was kissing Ross.
In the hallway.
And that stole Monica's thunder. And then what does she do when the big day comes? They find out she's pregnant. So once again, Rachel has stolen the thunder. So Monica's wedding reception was all about finding out that her best friend's pregnant, not knowing who the father is, asking questions. That consumes them on their wedding. And I just hate that. Shame on Rachel. I mean, it makes for good TV, funny, dramatic. I get it. I enjoy watching it. But
have you ever seen Bridesmaids?
I have.
I think that movie's hilarious.
I laughed, but I don't like it the way I'm supposed to like it.
Why?
I don't know. I
just think Kristen Wiig's fucking hilarious.
She is funny, and I love her. She's so talented. But I didn't get on the bandwagon when it came out. It just took the world by storm, and I didn't think it was funny. It was one of those things where all the funny parts were in the previews. So when I saw the full movie, I was like, this is not that great. And I don't like watching people shit their pants. Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maya Rudolph, shits in the street.
I mean, she's
like, it's coming.
Hey, when it happens to you in real life, you don't like to see it play out.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But that's another story for another time.
Okay, I can't wait for that.
No, I'll keep that.
Well, we look forward to that. Well, I mean, I thought we had some good ones, and it was cool.
Did.
It was cool to hear it, without checking notes before. I was anxious to hear yours.
I know.
Without seeing it first. So
yeah, and I think we were on this. Honestly, we were on the same page for a lot of these.
Yeah. No, I mean, closing thoughts. I know this was fun, and we talked about a lot of different things, but it all comes back to mom and dad, and I hope they had a good anniversary, and I hope they've enjoyed their time down in Florida, and just always so proud of them.
Same, and I can't wait to see them when they come home soon. Love you, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, I love you guys.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
And anyone who has an anniversary out there, happy anniversary to you.
Toodles.